Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing the second part of my eyeshadow palette collection. If you haven't seen part one, go ahead and go back to my last collection video. It is covering all of my drugstore and affordable eyeshadow palettes. In today's video, we're gonna get a little bougie with it, and we're gonna take a look at my high-end and luxury palettes, which are my babies, my pride and joy. I love my drugstore eyeshadow, but there's just something really that feels very special about owning some of these fancier makeup items. These are some of the things that I saved up my money to buy and that I have treasured for as long as I've had them. So these are some of my favorite makeup pieces, and I'm really excited to share them. So if that sounds good to you, grab a drink or a snack or something, because we'll be here for a while, and let's go ahead and get into it. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get into this, because as you can see, I have a lot more of these than I did of the drugstore palettes. So, in no particular order, let me just grab this little stack off the top here. These are my small Natasha Denona palettes. I have some larger ones in here somewhere. This is the Mini Biba palette. I love this one. And I shamelessly bought it because I swatched this center shade in Sephora and fell madly in love with it, because it is so shiny gorgeous. So that's my Mini Biba. This is my Mini Retro. I love this color story. I feel like it's really one of her more unique mini palette color stories. I have to be careful with this one. This is my Mini Nude palette. The packaging is broken because I dropped it. I'm considering getting a new one because I love to travel with this one, and I'm scared to travel with the broken one. This is probably my favorite of the minis. I love this a weird amount, and I am actually going to swatch this shade. This is the shade that made me realize it's not just another nude palette. It's this bronzy goldy color, but with a little bit of a green flip. I feel like you can't even really get the full extent of it on camera, but it is perfection. So that's that one. This is the Mini Love. Mainly I bought this because it was on sale for $12.50 on Sephora, but it really is a beautiful color story, especially for this time of year. And then these are two that came in BoxyCharms. This is the Peak palette. Makes a really, really easy, pretty warm tone neutral look. And then this is the Ayana palette, and it makes a very beautiful cool toned neutral look. I love this shade here, the sort of greeny taupe. Really, really beautiful. I don't have to tell you that Natasha Denona's formula is incredible. I feel like it kind of goes without saying, especially considering how many of these I have. I have spent my money on all of these in some capacity, and I have a few more of the larger ones, and I regret it not even a little bit. If you're going for the high-end formulas, this one and the Pat McGrath formula, which I'll get into, are the ones that are going to be worth your money the most, in my opinion. So those are my small Natasha Denona palettes. Since I brought it up, we may as well get into these. I have a couple of the holiday palettes, and we'll get into that when we get there, but these are my babies. I'll just go in the order I have them sitting here. This is the Mothership 10 Moonlit Seduction. This is my most recent one. It is mind-bogglingly beautiful. That duochrome shade is remarkable. This is the Mothership 7 Divine Rose 1. Another gorgeous palette. You can't even really see. You see orange in this shade. I see straight up rose pink. The duochromes in these palettes are unmatched. This was my first Mothership palette, and I'm pretty sure it's still my favorite. This is Mothership 5 Bronze Seduction. Again, you see this green and blue in this shade here. From my angle, it's just a gold, yellowy gold shade. I adore this one. And last but certainly not least, we have Mothership 8 Divine Rose 2. Again, this shade here, you see a vibrant hot pink, and I see a full-on green. Matter of fact, I might try to get a swatch of that one to really... This is the one that's like the most mind-boggling of Pat McGrath's duochromes. I would say by far. Look. Yep, there it is. You see that flip? It looks like a magic trick, honestly. I don't know how she does it. Her formula is top of the line. Absolutely the cream of the crop, best of the best. Do I recommend that any average makeup consumer go out and spend over $100 on an eyeshadow palette? Absolutely, I do not. Do I think that if you are a casual eyeshadow fan, drugstore and cheaper high-end palettes are more than enough? Absolutely. But do I think that this is worth a pretty penny? I'm not going to say full price, but do I think it's worth a pretty penny? Absolutely, I do. So that's my take on Pat McGrath. I love these. These are my pride and joy and my prized possessions. Let me grab this stack here. These are mostly my Nabla palettes, except for this one. I'll get this one out of the way first. This is the Odin's Eye Alva eyeshadow palette. This is an indie brand out of Sweden. It's a beautiful formula, and this is one of their older palettes. I've heard they've actually improved their formula since this one, so I'm really curious to try some of their newer stuff that they've come out with. But this is the one that I have, and I think it's really, really beautiful. And these are all my Nabla palettes. I am obviously a Nabla fan. I just really think their formula is underappreciated. This is my little glitter palette I have from them. It is the Miami Lights glitter palette. I think it was on sale during one of the 21 Days of Beauty, and I just had to have it. I'm not big on pressed glitters as a rule, but these are really, really special, especially this one. It has such a cool, like, green and purple sparkle in it. It's very, very cool. These were also on sale at one point, and that's how I got hooked on them. These are the little cutie palettes. I have quite a few. This is the Analog Cutie palette. Each one of these has some really special formulas. It's kind of got like a normal shimmer that's still really high shine, an ultra glittery shimmer. It's got this sort of top coat shimmer, cream shadow, and then two matte powder shadows. Really, really gorgeous formulas, all of them, and I love the variety. This is the Wild Berry Cutie palette. Again, a variety of formulas, a cream formula, a top coat shade, a traditional shimmer, and then some powder mattes. This might be my favorite. You know, I love this Alchemy 2.0 shade. This is the Nude Cutie palette. All of the mattes in this one are cream formulas, and these two shimmers are so high impact. I absolutely adore this one because it's so easy to use for an everyday look. This is my Glamour one. This is the Platinum Cutie palette. This silver is the shiniest, most high impact silver in my entire collection. I'm going to swatch this for you, actually, because you just kind of have to see it to believe it. Just literally unreal. And the formula is so nice because it's really thin and easy to work with. I love it. And then this is the Coral Cutie palette. Again, a nice variety of formulas, kind of your top coat shimmer, some more traditional shimmers, this like satin shade. These are amazing. The variety of formulas is so impressive, and all of them perform beautifully. So I love the Cutie palettes. And then I have a couple of Nabla's larger palettes here. This is the Side by Side Nude palette, which is just an absolutely perfect neutral palette. It's got the perfect mix of warm and cool tones for literally any kind of neutral look that you're going for. And then this is my newest acquisition from Nabla. This is the Secret palette, and I just think it's absolutely a gorgeous color story. It's really, really unique. I feel like there's a lot of room to play here and get creative, and that's the kind of palette I'm looking for nowadays, is stuff that really makes me think and get creative with my collection. This Play Hard shade, you can't really appreciate it on camera, but it is just the most gorgeous, like, mint green top coat. You can't even really see the green on camera, but it's so stunning. You can a little. It's stunning. Nabla's formula is so underrated, but it is absolutely fantastic, phenomenal. This is an indie brand, I want to say out of Italy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say it's an indie brand out of Italy, and they do just the most unbelievable job. I love these, and they go on sale all the time at Ulta, so keep an eye out for these. Next, I'll go ahead and grab this stack because it just looks a little precarious. Up here I have some of my Dose of Colors palettes. I have a few of these little 5-pan all matte palettes. This one is the Sassy Siennas. Really gorgeous warm tone mattes. This formula is so creamy and smooth. I know Dose of Colors is kind of hard to come by these days because they're not at Ulta anymore. but man, I really do think they're worth it. This is the Baked Browns palette. This one's my most used for sure. It's just so easy to throw a look together with these mattes and then put like a ColourPop Super Shock shadow on the lid and you're done. And with this formula, it takes seconds. It's so easy to use. This formula is a little bit different. This one I got for the color story. This is the Snow Angels palette. Something about the combo of the berry red and pink and the navy blue and cobalt just really suckered me in. And the formula is good. I would say it's not as good as the originals, and I don't even think you can get this one anymore, but something about this color story was just impossible for me to resist. And then as far as I'm concerned, the best Dose of Colors palette ever, hands down, is the Desi and Katie Friendcation palette, because these shimmers are just next level. They are so, so stunning. Oh, I'm gonna swatch one. Can't resist. They're creamy, glimmery, shimmy, shiny goodness. And the camera doesn't even really do it justice. And the fact that it has the dark base is so interesting. There's only one shimmer shade in this palette that doesn't have that dark base to it. This one's more of like a mid-tone base, but the dark-based shimmers are so interesting and they add so much dimension to your looks. Again, I know you can't get this one anymore, but I appreciate that I still get to play with this one because it is some of their best work for sure. So that is Dose of Colors. Love them. If you find them or you're willing to go on their website, I still highly recommend their stuff. I have this one-off palette from Dominique Cosmetics. This is the Berries and Cream palette. I think the color story is beautiful. The formula was really nice. This is the only one I have from Dominique Cosmetics, and I haven't really heard all that much out of them lately. If any of you have ever tried anything else from Dominique Cosmetics that you absolutely love, let me know, because this is a really nice palette. I don't really hear much about Dominique Cosmetics these days. This, oh my god, this is such a beauty community classic. This is the Colored Rain Queen of Hearts palette. Who remembers this beauty? It really is a phenomenal palette. The formula in here is top notch. Both of the formulas, the mattes and the shimmers. But the shimmers really, I mean, especially at the time that this got popular, shimmers were the thing. And my goodness, this Your Majesty, the gold shade, I bought another one of these as a single because I needed to have it in my collection in more than one place. Because, I mean, look, these days, yes, it's kind of just a coppery gold shimmer. But especially at the time that this palette came out, this was so groundbreaking. And it really is gorgeous. Doesn't take away from how good it is still, but, I mean, isn't this just such a beauty community classic? This is the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. Absolutely gorgeous golden color story. I'm such a sucker for these tones. The mustard browns and the really gorgeous antique golds like this one right here are just absolutely beautiful. I got this one when I was like half off at Sephora, I think, one time, and I do not regret it at all. Absolutely stunning formula. Holds up to the Naked formula for sure. I do technically also have my original Naked palette in my collection, but I've had it since I was in 8th grade, and I am currently in medical school, so that one has been retired from use. But this one's going strong, so really love this one. I say that, but I'm also a raging hypocrite because I still have my Sweet Peach palette from Too Faced. What can I say? It's a classic, you know? I don't use it often enough. I know I don't, but you know what? It still smells like peaches, and I appreciate that, so she stays. I haven't noticed a change in how the formula behaves, and that was kind of the telltale sign for my Naked palette, so I think this one is still okay. So, yes, the OG herself. Also kind of an OG, the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I don't know necessarily that this formula was up to snuff with the Naked formula. I liked this palette. I still do like this palette. I think it's a really beautiful color story. And again, it really challenges your creativity a little bit to work in some, some of this pink over here, this purple, the blues and greens. I think it really ties everything together nicely. But I don't think the formula is the same as the Naked formula. They don't sell this anymore. They definitely don't sell this anymore. No way. Anyway, it was a good one. These are my Sigma palettes. Sigma is such an up-and-comer in the eyeshadow game, I think. This is the Corta Rosa palette. Stunning warm tone shades, and the way that they introduce the oranges and pinks as these warm tones. This is like the updated version of the Anastasia Modern Renaissance, in my opinion. I really think it's, if you took Modern Renaissance and made it the 2020s version, you would get something like this. It's beautiful. I love this one. The Enchanted palette is so dreamy. Look at that. And again, it just really challenges my creativity. The greens, and then you've got these purpley shades and this like greeny gold with these softer pinks and a black in here too. I mean, there's so many different directions you can go with this, and I love it for that. So beautiful. And then this is my most recent addition. I found this at a freaking TJ Maxx. Can you believe? What I love so much about this one is it's just these murky jewel tones. And I like that each shade kind of has a corresponding shade. Not all of them, but like these two, these two, these two, these two. You see what I mean? Like they kind of correspond, and I'm such a sucker for a color story that is designed like that. So this one's absolutely beautiful as well. And again, can't say enough good things about the Sigma formula. It's top notch. Holds up against all of the stuff you can find at Sephora. Also, the Sigma website is never not running sales. And apparently, you can get some of these in TJ Maxx now too, so keep that in mind. Let me grab this stack next. This I also got at a TJ Maxx, so it's not ultra old. This is the Too Faced Natural Eyes, and you know what? I keep it around because this formula really smacks. I know that this is such old school, you know, eyeshadow, but holy crap, it really is good. Look, at least it's not the kind from when it used to be in the little tin, you know, when this was like one of the tin palettes. I'd never had that one, but I picked up this one and I do not regret it at all. I don't know, the shimmers aren't like wildly high impact, but they are gorgeous, and the mattes are buttery smooth, and you know what? It still smells good. So I really like this one. I think people stopped talking about this, and we should bring this back. It's lovely. This I got in a BoxyCharm ages ago. This is the Huda Beauty Mauve Obsessions. This was from that initial set of like 4 of the Obsessions palettes that she put out like at the very beginning of her brand. Does anybody else still have one of the ones from the original launch? Let me know. Honestly, is this like the most incredible mauve palette ever? No, but I do like it. These richer shades, and even this one down here, the way that they make such a sultry look is so fun. So, you know, she gets to stay. The most recent addition to my Natasha Denona collection is the Retro Glam palette. I saw this color story when I walked into Sephora one day, and I was so hooked. Like I've been saying, what I want in my eyeshadow palettes these days is to challenge my creativity, and this one is so perfect for that. The combo of the pinks and greens and the grungy kind of browns it's so unique. It's so unique. I can honestly say I have never owned a palette quite like this one, so happy to have this. Equally happy to have the original retro palette, which is just a pink lover's dream. I have green eyes, and with this palette, what a combo. It's perfect. It's perfect for my girls with blue and green eyes. So stunning. The cream formula in here is so interesting, but so user-friendly. I mean, if you're a newcomer to cream eyeshadows, you can still make this work really, really easily for you. I know I'm hyping Natasha Denona a lot, but it's for a reason. I mean, she just knows what she's doing. With eyeshadows, with formulas, with color stories, she just knows what she's doing. And this was my first of the midi size palettes. This is the bronze palette, and it is right up my alley in terms of my taste in eyeshadows. The gorgeous, yummy warm tones and gold shimmers. This duochrome down here, the shade Bliss, is just this gorgeous pinky gold with like a green flip. You can't even see the flip. What a shame. Because it really is stunning. My girls with brown eyes, honestly, This one's probably the one for you. Retro for the girls with light colored eyes, dark eyes, the bronze. Is it going to stop me from wearing it anyway? No. And should your eye color dictate which of these you buy? Absolutely not. But it makes them pop. You know what I mean? So yes, those are all of the Natasha Denona palettes. Stunning, beautiful, gorgeous. Can't even hype these up nearly enough. Especially if you see one of these on sale, I assure you, you will not be disappointed. Not with any of the ones I've tried, anyway. If you try one and I didn't mention it here and you hate it, you're not allowed to blame me. This is so old. This is the Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Foil. It's a highlighter palette technically, but for me, obviously, most of these are going to be eyeshadows, not highlighters. They're lovely. I mean, realistically, I feel like I don't use them all that often. This color, though, is bonkers beautiful. And I feel like when I remember to pull this out, I love using that shade. I just need to work on remembering this one. Especially since it's kind of bulky and awkwardly shaped. But it really is gorgeous. So I'm going to work on that. I promise to work on that. This is my only product from Give Me Glow, which is such a shame because it is unreal. Look how huge these pans are, first of all. But this is the Vintage Rose palette, and I am so hooked. I have to try more from Give Me Glow. It's a little pricey, but they're an indie brand, and for the quality, I mean, it really is. It really is that good, you know? Just, you can see how smooth that is. I'm speechless. These are so good. I've got to pick up another one of their palettes when I get a chance, because, like I said, I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. Beautiful, stunning, amazing. This is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. I don't know if this is available anymore. I want to say it's not. She has a couple of this size palette that are newer, but honestly, this is still my favorite of the color stories. I just really think it's unique, and like I said, it's a little bit of a creative challenge. Lots of room to play here, and these shimmers are just... they're next level. Can you tell I'm a little bit of a shimmer freak? That's kind of what I go for. I mean, like, a good matte formula can't be overstated, but, like, shimmers, I feel like there's so many more varieties of formula, and there's a lot more room to explore. So, I don't know. I'm kind of a shimmer girl. But the mattes in here are beautiful, too. Only good things to say about it. And I would imagine that since this palette, her other palettes in this sort of format are likely of a similar quality. So, I am interested in trying another one of her larger palettes because I really think that they're beautiful. These are a couple from Ofra. They're kind of combo face and eye palettes. I got this one through BoxyCharm. It's got these eyeshadows up top, blush, bronzer, and then I love the highlighter in the center that has 4 different Ofra highlighters. I want to say they're Rodeo Drive, Pillow Talk, Star Island, and Bali? I think so. Don't quote me on that. But absolutely stunning. Their cheek products are unreal. And actually the eyeshadows are really, really good too. So I was not disappointed with this one. Similarly, this I bought for 2 reasons. Number 1, it is a collaboration with Samantha March, who I absolutely love and adore, and I had to support her. And number 2, Hannah Louise Poston raved about this blush, and she was so right. That blush is stunning. I know this video is not about blush, it's about eyeshadow, but still, it's beautiful. The eyeshadows are nice. I'm not gonna lie to you and say it's my favorite formula ever. It's really not. The mattes are good. The shimmers are pretty lackluster. But these cheek products are so good that I could never get rid of this palette purely for that reason alone. And also, I love Samantha so much. And I'm happy to have it. So, those are my 2 from Ofra. Okay, move some things around and we'll go ahead and move on to the next thing, which is this. Oh my gosh, the memories. The Midas Cosmetics and Smoky Glow palette. I miss Hannah's videos so much. I'm glad she's doing what's right for her and all that, but I really loved her channel, and this palette is so beautiful, so I'm glad I have this for the memories. This isn't available anymore, but it was fantastic. I love this shade Nutty. It's just such a pretty blue-pink iridescent duochrome. Such a pretty, pretty palette. Love the color story. I have this palette from Viseart. I kind of broke it a little bit. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I got this one through BoxyCharm. This is different from the normal Viseart palettes. The normal Viseart palettes have magnetic pans. These are not magnetic. I know that they sometimes manufacture things differently for BoxyCharm, but I'm kind of curious if the quality of this is different from the normal Viseart matte palettes. Because they're fine, but nothing I would pay $80 for. I'm glad I have it. I think the colors are unique for a matte palette, so I hang on to it, but curious. If any of you have ever tried one of these all matte Viseart palettes, what do you think of them? Let me know. I have a couple from Too Faced. This one's pretty old. This is the Sparkling Pineapple palette. I keep this around for a couple of reasons. Number one, I love a good warm tone neutral look. Number two, it still smells like pineapple. And number three, this gold and this duochrome right here are just ridiculously beautiful. So she gets to stay. Isn't it just so cute? And then, of course, we have the Just Peachy Mattes palette. This also still smells like peach, just like the Sweet Peach palette does. And I used this not that long ago, and the quality is still definitely there. So she also gets to stay. This was such a good one. Speaking of Viseart, I have this teeny little Midsummer palette. I think this is very, very cute. Very easy blush tones. Pretty soft, kind of hard to deepen up a look, but especially for like a really good daytime springy kind of look, this is really, really lovely. See, the matte formula in this, though, is different from the matte formula in that one that came from BoxyCharm. But I don't know if the matte formula in these is the same as the mattes in the all matte 12 pans. You get what I'm saying? So, not sure. But I will say I prefer the quality of this one. This is going to make me sad if I spend too long on it, so I'm going to brush over this quickly. This is the Tiny Marvels palette, which was a collaboration between Sydney Grace and Mel Thompson. Absolutely stunning formulas, absolutely beautiful color story, inspiring, challenges me to get creative. And, I mean, the shimmers in here are really, really, really top of the line. Not that the mattes aren't great, but the shimmers are just jaw-dropping. And Mel did an incredible job with this gorgeous color story. And the art is beautiful too. I miss seeing Mel. So this is the Lunar Beauty Nude Prism palette. This is what that one looks like. It's a very gorgeous, all neutral color story, but I feel like it's got a little bit of a twist to it. Like this brown is almost kind of mustardy color. We have these more like peachy, orangey kind of vibes up here. And these shimmers are stunning. They're so high impact and shiny. This is the only thing I've tried from Lunar Beauty, and it made me really, really want to try more. So, very impressed by this. This is so old. Good lord. This is the Tarte Clay Play palette. How about that, huh? Anybody remember when this one launched? It's actually pretty high quality. This is a good one for travel when I just want to bring a couple of like shimmer shades like ColourPop Super Shocks, and then I have something to make a bunch of different eye looks with. I can go pretty cool toned, kind of warm toned. The bronzers make good eyeshadows as well. Obviously I can't use that bronzer, but I can use these too. And yeah, it's high quality, so I keep it on hand. I think this was fun. I think this got slept on. I think this got a bad rap. This was the Violet Voss Flamingo palette. And I just think it's cute. I love the color story. The formula is nice. Is it like life-changing? No, but I think it's nice. And I don't know, I've made some really, really beautiful looks with this palette, and I haven't pulled it in a while. So I need to try to remember to pull this out, especially for the summer. These are also my babies, my last two Pat McGrath palettes. These are from Holiday in 2021 and 2022, respectively. So this one is the Celestial Odyssey. Gorgeous, gorgeous color story. The shimmers in these, I'm going to say, are not necessarily as crazy and high impact as the ones in her full price Mothership palettes, but to be fair, they're very good. You know? I mean, the quality is definitely not going to be up to where her palettes that cost 120 something dollars are when these cost 70 something, which again is still a lot of money for an eyeshadow palette, but it's still way higher quality than most other eyeshadow, in my opinion. And then this one is the Celestial Nirvana palette, which is also gorgeous. I love the colors in this one. I didn't know how I was going to feel about Pat McGrath's brights, but they did not disappoint. In my opinion, anyway. I heard a lot of mixed reviews about this palette, but in my mind, these brights did not disappoint. They really, really pulled through. I've used that dark navy blue up here before. It's stunning. This purple is so high impact. I think she did a phenomenal job, and I would definitely buy more brights from Pat McGrath. All right, we've made it to the last pile, and there are some incredible ones in here. These are all my Kaleidos palettes. I love the Kaleidos palettes. They are so beautiful. I'm going to preface this with, I don't know how many of these you can still get. I know for a fact that at least 3 or 4 of these have been discontinued. So if you see one that's incredible and you can't get it anymore, I'm sorry. This is the Futurism 3 Astro Pink. The packaging on all of these is insane. So that is what that one looks like. I think this color story is so gorgeous. The addition of that blue is such a fun choice. This shade right here, this lavender shimmer kind of thing, is ridiculous. Yeah. The shine is, it really is. You know, it just is. This one is the Futurism 5 Electro Turquoise. I love this one as well. I just think that the color stories they create are so unique. The combination of this orange with the turquoise and then this brown, it gives you so many options. Love that one. This one might be my favorite because I'm a sucker for neutrals. This is Futurism 7 Sashimi City. It has these incredible neutral mattes and then these duochrome shimmers that are beyond. This goldy green one is my favorite. So gorgeous. Oh. The ones in that palette are a little bit less, this one's like a creamy metallic, and these are more like a glittery topper kind of moment, but I actually tend to prefer that kind of shimmer a lot of the time. So pretty. And this one is sort of the OG, the classic. This is the Futurism 1 Sci-Fi Green. And this is basically the reason I never need to buy the Melt Gemini palette. Because I feel like the color story is so similar, but condensed down and in a formula that I already know is perfection. So those are my Futurism palettes. And then, of course, I have the collab with Angelica Nyqvist, who is one of my favorite people on this platform. I love her endlessly. She's so creative and so fun. And this is the gorgeous piece of work she put together. Just incredible use of these jewel tones, these multi-chrome shimmers that are so beautiful to work with. But they also go with so many combinations of these mattes. I've tried some combinations that I didn't really think would make sense on the eyes, but they look gorgeous as a finished look. I'm sorry for hyping this up so much. This one I know you can't get anymore because it was a limited edition run, but she did such an amazing job. This one's newer to me. My mom got this in BoxyCharm and she didn't want it, so I picked it up from her. This is from Item Beauty. It's the In My Element palette. And honestly, I really think this is gorgeous. I really love the sort of warm top row, cool bottom row. These shimmers are actually kind of stunning. They have this sort of cream to powder feel that reminds me of like a little bit like a Super Shock shadow. I don't know. I've only used it a couple of times because it's kind of newer to me and I don't usually do full-on eyeshadow looks for school stuff, but so far I'm really impressed by this and I definitely want to get some more use out of it. Of course, where would I be without my collection from ABH? These are all such classics. Of course, we have the Soft Glam. I don't even really need to say much about these because you know about ABH palettes. This is the Modern Renaissance. This was a game changer. Everybody who was in the beauty space when this came out knows what a game changer this was. It really just kind of got so many more people, including me, inspired to try some of the higher end formulas. And I think this was probably my first like really nice eyeshadow palette that I ever bought myself. I had like my Naked palette, but this I think was my first high end palette that I purchased for me. So good memories with this one. The Norvina palette, of course. This is such a gorgeous color story still. And this one really upped the game with the shimmer shades. These are unbelievably beautiful. They're kind of thick, can be a little bit difficult to work with if you're not careful, but the effect that they give on the eyes is just insane. Kind of similarly, chunkier shimmers, but that give you an incredible effect on the eye, the Sultry palette. Reinvented cool tones the same way they reinvented warm tones. Everybody started coming onto the cool tone bandwagon after this one. And finally, and this is easily my favorite Anastasia palette, bar none, hands down, the Jackie Aina palette. First of all, this packaging, hello. And second of all, this incredible color story. Again, really lets me get creative, really makes me think. I've discovered some combinations with this palette that I never would have imagined would work, but turn out so beautiful. So, best ABH palette by far. And all of these have remained staples in my collection. They are wonderful. And then we kind of have a couple of stragglers here, but they are still lovely all the same. This is the Alamar Cosmetics Reina del Caribe palette. I got this in a BoxyCharm ages ago, and I honestly think it's so beautiful. This color story is really simple, but it really is effective, and the shimmers in this, insane. This shade right here, this kind of greeny gold, is unbelievable. It's really fantastic. So good. And then finally, we have this from Colored Rain. This is the Safari Rain palette. Again, I don't think this is available anymore, but it is a beautiful color story. The combo of the green and orange and then the more neutral metallics is just so fun to play with. And again, just the way that these shimmers perform on the eye, this shade Lioness, it's really thick and creamy, which for some people is a negative, but for me, if you know how to work with these kinds of shades, the impact that they give on the eye is just straight up liquid metal. Absolutely stunning. Okay, we did it. Those were all of my luxury and high-end eyeshadow palettes, and this has been my entire eyeshadow palette collection. This was quite a task for me, so yay for us, we got through it. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like down below. Leave me a comment letting me know what your most luxe, bougie, prized eyeshadow palette is. I would love to hear it. And if you want to see more from me, I hope you will hit subscribe down below. I would absolutely love to have you. And until the next video, bye guys.